I did it.
Hello and welcome. This is Jason E. Welcome to the Trading Ascension YouTube channel. A spin-off the Trading Ascension Podcast. And I don't do a lot of here on YouTube, but you can catch the show on Sundays and Thursdays on any major platform. Go ahead and peep that as we talk about the personal and the spiritual growth journey, profitable day trading. Now, you saw the title. I want to talk about 5 things that I think you may want to consider when you're trying to get funded by a prop firm, right? A proprietary firm. And 5 things that I think were fundamental in helping me. First off, shout out to Chase, Coleman, Chin, all the guys who kind of got me foundationally sound in trading. All their names start with C there. So shout out to them. So appreciative, so thankful. And I know that you'll hear it on the show. Try to stay in gratitude, and I'm definitely thankful for them opening my eyes to this path. So briefly, if you don't know what a prop firm is, a prop firm is basically a company that provides money so you can have larger margins in the market. There are companies all over. Usually you go through an evaluation. It can vary from a few steps to one step. And you'll pay for that. Afterwards, on the back end, if you are successfully funded by this company, they'll do a profit split with you. All right, so they'll take a certain percentage. They'll take a certain percentage of profits. You keep the rest, right? And usually up front, they'll give you $8,000 without taking anything from it. So for me, I wanted to have higher margins, right? I remember I had a manager in an insurance business that I had a few years out of college, and he talked about the river of abundance and how some people go with a thimble and some people are going with buckets, and everyone takes a different amount based on their worthiness to the river of abundance, right? And so when I started realizing that it was the same work, right, whether I'm entering the market with 1 quantity or 10 quantity, it's the same work, right? So I wanted to quickly get my margins up in accordance to what I can energetically handle, so I can make more money. All right, simple as that. So I would rather make 800 on 1,000 I made than keep 100, right? If I made it 100% of 100, right? So I don't mind the split, right? It works out for some people. They may not like it, so I decided to go that path. Another thing on that is that if you want to push yourself, you want to test yourself. You want to try it. Now, I strongly suggest, and I'll put this as the keys, that you want to be prepared when you're going into it. But if you need accountability, if you need someone to push you or something like that, you can get a lot further on paying a fee, right, monthly, than you would if you were just entering your money in the market, right? So you can pay, what is it, maybe $150 for a $50,000 account, right, and be able to lose $3,000 versus putting $300 in your own account and only being able to trade a little bit. So you can get similar emotions, similar feelings to a live account. So it's almost like an elevated sim feeling that you can get. So I do want to say that if you are looking to up yourself from sim, but not get so burnt so quickly in the market. All right, so just a tip there. So let's talk about it. So first off, let me talk about my numbers. So let me pull this up. So when you do actually pass it, you'll get an email that looks like this. Go ahead and make sure that you all can see that. So this is what the email looks like. It's attached to a certificate. Certificate will look like this, right? Super exciting. Now, when you are doing it, and I'll kind of tie this into the first key here, which is you want to do a dry run, right? You don't want the evaluation to be your first attempt at working with these rules. I see a lot of people on YouTube here that talk about they didn't understand the commissions, or there were some factors that popped up. But if you do a dry run, especially in Ninja Trader, you can add commissions in, so you can do a dry run, know exactly what it's going to take, right, to get in there. And so you want to be confident going in, and you want to set up a game plan, right? So I have my charts here that lets me know exactly, let me see if I can get you guys here. So exactly, I know based on the days left, what I need to hit that day, right? I know my targets. I got all these numbers working automatically from my log sheet, right? So here's where I logged my trades, including pictures. And you guys hear me talk about this all the time. This is nothing new to anyone who follows the podcast. Logging my trades, right? Date and time, so I can find it back on the chart. The direction I went, right? The entry and loss, the result. And then the type of trade, right? And which I use a drop down menu to make sure that I can't even put anything in there that's not part of my game plan. All right. And then I have the picture here for myself to review. So overall, it was a 10-day minimum, right? With that company. I completed it in 10 days, right? You can see my total profit was $9,067.94. I took 30 trades total. Out of those 30 trades, I had 5 trades that did not hit the target, and that ended up being about 83.33%. All right, and again, the 9,067.94 put me above, and I was a little bit above on day right here, day 8, right? So I took a small trade in a micros. I mean in the minis. I usually trade the micros on the 9th day, and then I just got in a little trade, not caring about the outcome, on the very last day, just to lock that in. And it's, you know, when you're in the evaluation, you just want to hit the goal. It's not like you're keeping any of this money until you get the funded account. So you want to hit the goal. Wasn't too proud to, you know, take this last loss. So that loss there, you know, that was one of the 5. Got some other crazy losses, but my practice was even better than that, right? So I made sure that I was prepared going in, which is the first tip, right? Be prepared going in and have a game plan. So I have a game plan. I work the numbers all the time. I know exactly what I need to do that day, right? And I have a routine, which brings me to the next thing, is build a foundation on your routine. You want to make sure that you have a minimum foundation of success for yourself. For me, it's 2 trades, right? I like to see it as shooting free throws. Now you can see here, I took about 3 on average every day, right? You can see 2 the first day, 5, 2, 2, 5, 1, 1. Ended up being 30 trades. Dividing that by the 10 days, about 3 trades a day. Now I am accustomed to 2 trades. If I go over that, I could be out of my comfort zone, but you can see on some days I felt, you know, pretty good. Now, I see it as like shooting free throws in basketball, or like how a kicker, you know, kicks the ball. They have the routine. You might see a basketball, dribble it twice, spin it, whatever it is, and then they shoot it. My lifestyle, my morning routine is set up around a minimum of 2 trades. I can do that all day, every day, right? 2 successful trades is what I'm always shooting for. That's my minimum standard. So I suggest that you get a routine around that. From the time I go to bed, from the time I wake up, I've honed this over months and over years to make sure that I can get in the market and take 2 trades, because I've always had the same goal in mind from the day I started to right now, right? This right here is just, you know, step 2 in a long-term game plan, right? A 6, 7, 8 year game plan that I'm working out. And it starts with having a minimum output, right? Having a routine that produces similar results. So you want to have that minimum routine. Now, the second thing that you have to do is you have to be able to push back stress, right? This is number 3. Now, stress is when our body wants to take over, and our body wants to basically put us in a reptilian brain, a fight or flight. Now, you can see this and you can feel it in your trading, right? So we always talk about the trade log, the trade journal. That's where the truth is going to be, right? If you're not logging your trades, if you're not keeping a trade journal, you're not serious about it, right? You're not going to excel in this game, in my opinion. Now, when you realize that you're hitting a milestone and you're hitting a level where you're reaching stress, you want to be able to push that line back so you can have more room, and you want to be able to push this line back without dissipating energy, right? And you heard a few podcast episodes, we talked about dissipating, right? The second law of thermodynamics and how that works against us when we're doing things to eliminate stress versus raising our capacity to handle stress. So you'll hit that feeling, right? I remember my first live trade. One of the reasons I started the Trading Ascension Podcast to talk about the personal and the spiritual growth journey of profitable day trading was to focus on the energetic, the emotional aspect. When you hit that wall, it's the same as when you're breathing and you feel like you can't hold your breath any longer. The body takes over, makes you breathe, right? Makes you exhale. And that happens in all aspects of life. Now, it's the same line. And that's why breathing exercises, which you'll hear, from Randy Howe, who I had on the show, who's, real live here on YouTube, they talk about these breathing exercises. And that, for me, I see it as a way to push back the stress line, right? Because when you first start doing breathing exercises, one of my favorite is the box breathing, right? The 10-10-10 box breathing. And you'll notice that, I can't hold my breath any longer, right? And you'll start to see that line where the body takes over. Now, of course, you're not going to die, right? Maybe you might pass out. I don't know. This is not medical advice. But there's a great chance that from holding your breath for 10 seconds, you're not going to die, right? But your body says, hey, I need a breath. I have to breathe. So as you push back that line and you get better at breathing, I started to notice that my stress in the market was pushed back, right? So that's the next thing. You want to make sure that you're pushing back this stress line with meditation and also with breathing exercises. Now, the next thing I want you to consider is to share or not to share. So there's two types of people on this, right? Me personally, I am a big proponent of Neville Goddard. He says, don't share it. He says it's between you and God. I totally believe that. I've seen the difference in sharing my goals with people versus not. And me being, energetically sensitive to that, I can tell when other people are thinking about my goals and they're bringing the energy of them down, right? And the abundant thinking that I can have towards the goals versus their limited thinking. I can tell. And it's akin to, when you tell goals that you're digging up the seed, you're showing him, then you're replanting it, right? And if you think about that from the physical standpoint of a crop, it's going to be hard for that crop to grow when you keep tampering with it. Now, on the other hand, I was in a mastermind group last year with Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who has a great channel here on YouTube. You want to check him out. And in that mastermind group, he was a big proponent of sharing your goals. Now, one thing, if you need accountability, you might want to share your goals, right? If you're not sensitive to others' thoughts and energies, you're just going to go get it, then you might want to share it. Personally, I don't need accountability. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to get it regardless, rain, sleet, or snow, no matter how much sleep I got. I'm going to get up and go try to, make the most out of the day that God has gave me, right? So I prescribe to not sharing the goals, but if you share the goal and you benefit from that, you need to do that, right? Do what works for you, but it's important that you know where you stand on the sharing or not to share. The next thing is the future self. When I passed this firm and I knew, and I got the email saying we're going to give you $150,000, right, to get in the market. It wasn't a celebration moment, all right, and because I already had acclimated to the energy of the future self. I felt like a funded trader. I feel like a millionaire trader. I feel like the six-figure trader at this moment because I've practiced it. I've relived those scenes in my mind. I've visualized them so much. So the conversations I had telling my friends that I had passed, I'd had that conversation literally thousands of times in my mind. So it was more deja vu than it was like, hey, I passed it, told you so. Like, it was like, no, we've already talked about this. I'm just telling you as a formality, in this dimension, because in the spiritual dimension, it's been rehashed so many times to where I was acclimated to that, right? So you want to use the power. I know in Exodus, God talks about sending his angels out in front of you, right, to pave the way. And it's true, no matter how you see it, even if you don't see it from a biblical standpoint, when you visualize, when you pave the way, you're priming a path so you can reach your goals. So I had primed the path in order to move forward in a disciplined way daily. And when you do that and you match that with taking massive action, you're going to reach your goals. So again, let me recap. So the first thing you want to do is you want to build confidence by going through a dry run and making sure that you can successfully pass it, right? Make sure that you know how to calculate the commissions. Make sure that you have a game plan that you can stay disciplined to by knowing how many trades you need per day to break that down, right? And a lot of these prop firms, they'll have a minimum but no maximum, right? So I didn't have to do it in 10 days. That's just the way I game planned it out. But if I had slipped a day or had anything wrong, I would have changed my day count, right, to do it. There are 22 average trading days in a month, right? So I could have lessened it down per trades a day to an even smaller amount and worked it out to 22, right? So know your numbers and do that. The next thing is build a foundation of minimum output, right? Get a routine to where you hit the market and it's unconscious, right? The less that we have to think about consciously, the more energy we can take into our task, the more present we can be. That's why it's super important at night to write down the main 3 things that you're going to do the next day, right? And all the goals that you have the next day, so you can marinate on it overnight, so you can get it into the subconscious and it doesn't take as much. Living ad hoc, just spur of the moment, it is mentally, emotionally, spiritually draining. Game plan. Have a plan so you can spend your time on executing, putting all your energy into the now. Also, you want to have exercises like meditation as well as breathing exercises to push back the stress line. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to get acclimated to new levels of success. Now, of course, there's systematic growth, which, we talk about all the time on the show, and that's something that you want to already have going into this. But of course, you want to be growing systematically as well. But you want to have those exercises to push back the stress line. And then you want to determine for you personally if you will benefit from sharing your goals or keeping them a secret. Whatever you find out works for you, you can do an A/B test experiment, whatever that is. Don't violate it. There's been times where I'm like, I know I shouldn't share this goal, but I'm just so excited or whatever that is. And I'm adding undesired energy into it, right? And it doesn't work out for me. If you know that you're not going to actually go do it, get someone to hold you accountable, right? So share or not to share. Then the next thing is the future self. Make sure that you can see in a clear, concise mental picture yourself achieving that goal. Now, the point of acquisition, meaning the time that you will actually get the goal, that's usually it's too energetic and you're going to get pushback. You're going to see that, I visualize this and it seems like I'm getting further away. So you don't want to, it's just like if you were wanting to win the lottery. You don't want to picture winning the lottery, because right now it's a lie in your mind, and your mind, generally doesn't know what's real and what's not real, what's happening in third dimension and what's happening in the mind. So when you take something that is clearly, blatantly not true, you're going to have some pushback. You're going to have opposite manifestations. But if you push past that point, right, instead of, I got this winning lottery ticket, I'm spending this money to help a foundation, I'm buying so-and-so a car, whatever you would do with the money, you're pushing past that point. I had the conversation of telling people that I was a funded trader, right? And I did that over and over until it felt natural. Right? I felt it and it made me more confident in my trading. I wasn't taking action from a place of lack. I didn't need to be funded. I was funded as I was taking action. And it takes you to a different level of confidence within yourself. All right. So you want to visualize the future self, not at the point of acquisition of the goal, but a little bit past that. Right? I wasn't picturing myself taking that trade and hitting 9,000, right? That came natural because I had pushed past the goal. They say shoot for the moon, you land on the stars. A lot of the things that are cliches because they're true, right? They mean something. So God bless you. Hope this was super helpful. And check out the Trading and Ascension Podcast. Sundays, Thursdays, Spotify, Pandora. You can speak it into Alexa, and you'll find me there. Peace.